You are having an incredible month of workouts. Your energy is high, you feel unstoppable, and then, out of nowhere, you feel a sharp nagging pinch in your elbow or your knee. You rest for a week, assuming it will heal like every other muscle ache you've ever had. But a week turns into a month turns into 6 months. And before you know it, you are trapped in a cycle of chronic pain, wondering if your body is permanently broken. Welcome to Dr. Levitas. Today, we are shining a massive spotlight on the most stubborn injury in the human body, the tendinopathy. Why is it that a tiny tweak in your tendon can sideline you for a year? We are exploring the biological desert of your connective tissue, the hidden danger of the most common medical injection on the market, and the exact protocols you need to rebuild your structural cables from the inside out. Please take a second to like the video and leave a comment. Your engagement is a huge help to the channel. Let's start by answering the question that drives every injured athlete absolutely crazy. Why do severe muscle belly tears heal in weeks, while seemingly minor tendon tears take months or years? It feels like a biological glitch, doesn't it? If you suffer a grade 2 tear in the thick belly of your hamstring, it turns black and blue, it swells massively, and it hurts intensely. Yet, within a month to 6 weeks, you are often back to normal activities. But if you get a micro tear in your Achilles tendon, you might be limping for a year. This happens because you are dealing with two entirely different biological ecosystems. Muscle tissue is incredibly metabolically active. It is designed to be broken down and rebuilt constantly. When you tear a muscle, your body launches a massive, violent, and highly effective inflammatory response. It rushes stem cells, building blocks, and white blood cells to the area, patching the hole with incredible speed. Tendons, however, operate on a glacial timeline. A tendon's metabolic rate is roughly 7.5 times slower than skeletal muscle. When a tendon sustains a micro tear, the body's alarm bells simply don't ring as loudly. The signals for repair are faint, the cellular turnover is sluggish, and the structural remodeling phase takes exponentially longer. You aren't doing anything wrong. You are just working against a biological time warp. To truly understand this slow timeline, we have to look at the internal plumbing. How does the severe lack of direct blood flow to tendons make them incredibly slow and stubborn to repair? In human anatomy, we categorize tissues by their vascularity. Muscles are highly vascular. They are red tissue, soaked in rich, oxygenated blood. Tendons are white tissue. They are a biological desert. The blood supply to a tendon is shockingly sparse, often less than 1 or 2% of the blood flow that goes to the muscle it connects to. Why does this matter? Because blood is your body's delivery and garbage disposal system. When you injure a tissue, you need blood to deliver the amino acids, oxygen, and growth factors required to rebuild the structure, and you need blood to wash away the dead, necrotic cells. A landmark 2022 review in the Journal of Orthopedic Research highlighted that the microcirculation in tendons is so poor that healing cells often suffer from hypoxia, a lack of oxygen, which completely stalls the repair process. The tendon is essentially trying to construct a massive skyscraper while being supplied by a single tiny dirt road. This severe lack of blood flow means we cannot rely on passive rest. We have to manually force nutrients into the area. Before we fix the tendon, we need to understand what it is actually made of. What is the fundamental biological difference between contractile tissue, your muscle, and connective tissue, your tendon? Think of your muscle as the engine of a car, and your tendon as the transmission cable that connects the engine to the wheels. Muscle is contractile tissue. It is packed with highly complex, living cells containing actin and myosin, tiny biological motors that overlap and slide to create movement. Muscles are soft, elastic, and highly cellular. Tendons are completely different. They are connective tissue. A tendon is mostly composed of the extracellular matrix, which is almost non-living material. It is made of densely packed, highly organized parallel bundles of type 1 collagen. There are very few living cells, called tenocytes, inside a tendon. The tendon's entire job is to be incredibly stiff and unyielding so that when the muscle contracts, no energy is lost, and the force transfers directly to the bone to move your skeleton. Because it is mostly a stiff extracellular cable rather than a living, breathing motor, It does not respond to traditional rest. It responds to tension. This brings us to the most critical rehabilitation concept in sports medicine. Why are eccentric or lowering exercises considered the absolute gold standard for rehabilitating a damaged tendon? When a tendon tears or develops tendinosis, those beautifully aligned parallel collagen fibers become a tangled, chaotic mess. It looks like a plate of cooked spaghetti. If you just rest, the body tries to heal the gap with random scar tissue, which is weak and painful. To fix the tendon, you have to comb the spaghetti back into perfectly straight lines. This is done through a process called mechanotransduction. When you perform an eccentric movement, like slowly lowering your heel off a step, or slowly straightening your arm in a bicep curl, you are lengthening the muscle and tendon under high tension. A comprehensive 2023 meta-analysis in sports medicine proved that this specific type of heavy, slow, lowering tension places the exact mechanical load needed to stimulate the sleepy tenocytes. The tension literally signals the cells to break down the disorganized scar tissue and lay down fresh, perfectly aligned type 1 collagen along the line of stress. Eccentric exercise isn't just physical therapy. It is the physical language that commands your tendon to rebuild its structural integrity. Now we have to address a highly controversial yet incredibly common medical intervention. How do cortisone shots actually degrade tendon tissue over time and drastically increase the risk of a full rupture? When you have been in pain for 6 months, a doctor offering a corticosteroid seems like a miracle, and for the first few weeks, it is. Cortisone is a massive anti-inflammatory. It completely shuts down the pain receptors and the local inflammation. You feel cured, but this is a dangerous, deceptive mask. Inflammation is the first stage of healing. By completely wiping it out, you stop the healing process dead in its tracks. More terrifyingly, extensive clinical research, including a massive 2024 longitudinal study published in The Lancet, shows that corticosteroids are actually catabolic to connective tissue. They inhibit the activity of the fibroblasts that make collagen. Over time, the cortisone literally melts the structural matrix of the tendon. Because you feel no pain, you go back to heavy activity on a tendon that is now chemically weakened and structurally compromised. This is why repeated cortisone drastically, sometimes exponentially, increase your risk of a catastrophic, full-thickness tendon rupture. We must stop chasing temporary pain relief at the expense of long-term structural health. If we aren't going to use meds to heal, we have to use nutrition. What is the critical role of vitamin C combined with collagen peptides in rebuilding a torn tendon matrix? To rebuild a steel bridge, you need to deliver raw steel to the construction site. For your tendons, that raw material is specific amino acids, namely glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. Taking a high-quality hydrolyzed collagen peptide supplement provides the exact sequence of amino acids your body needs to manufacture new tendon tissue. But having the bricks isn't enough. You need the mortar. This is where vitamin C is absolutely non-negotiable. Vitamin C acts as a mandatory cofactor for the enzymes that cross-link the collagen fibers. Without vitamin C, your body can make collagen, but the fibers won't bind together. They remain weak and unstable. A brilliant 2021 study by Dr. Keith Barr and his team demonstrated that consuming 15 grams of gelatin or collagen with 50 milligrams of vitamin C exactly 60 minutes before a targeted rehab session actually doubles the rate of collagen synthesis in the targeted tendon. By timing your nutrition with your mechanical loading, you are force-feeding the exact building blocks into the avascular desert right when the tissue is hungriest. Finally, we need to talk about a phenomenon seen in extreme fitness circles. Why do users of enhancing compounds often experience catastrophic, horrific tendon snaps? This is the ultimate example of the engine versus transmission mismatch. These compounds, synthetic derivatives of T, force the muscle belly to grow at an unnatural, exponential rate. A user can double their muscular strength and size in a matter of months. However, remember our timeline. Tendons are slow, avascular, and metabolically sluggish. The tendons simply cannot adapt to the new, massive forces generated by the supercharged muscle in such a short window of time. Furthermore, certain compounds actively change the structure of the tendon, making the collagen fibers stiffer and more brittle. When you combine a muscle that is firing with the power of a supercar engine with a tendon that is stiff, brittle, and hasn't adapted to the load, the result is inevitable. The cable snaps. It is a violent reminder that we cannot cheat human biology. True strength requires the patience to let your connective tissues catch up to your contractile tissues. Here is the doctor's verdict, the biological timeline. Being trapped in the cycle of tendon pain can feel deeply isolating and profoundly discouraging. But I want you to remember this: your body has not failed you. It is simply operating on a different biological timeline, demanding a different kind of respect. Healing a tendon is not about resting and waiting. It is an active, intentional process. It is about demanding adaptation through heavy, slow, eccentric movement. It is about refusing the quick-fix masking of cortisone, and instead, feeding your body the structural nutrition it needs to rebuild. Be patient with your biology. Honor the timeline of your connective tissues, and you will build a body that is not just aesthetically strong, but structurally bulletproof for decades to come. I want to hear from you. What tendon issue have you been battling, and are you going to start adding eccentrics to your routine? Let's start the conversation in the comments below. Stay resilient, trust the process, and I'll see you in the next. Watch this video suggestion. It was especially picked for you. Please share, comment, like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Thank you. It helps a ton with the algorithm. Remain tuned for future videos and keep growing.